Hey, JT with Living Analog here. So today I want to talk about a 1975 Fender P bass that I got my hands on. I guess this was about a year ago. Sometimes getting cleared dates on vintage guitars and basses is a mess. It's an easy enough question. What year was this made? It's not unreasonable to think doing a little research for about 20 minutes on the internet will answer it for you, but in a lot of cases, especially this one, the ride towards the truth is pretty damn bumpy. So I came across this on Craigslist, which was advertised as a 1976 Fender Precision Bass with a jazz bass neck. Lots of parts had been replaced years ago, but with the first look I knew I could sell it. Sometimes mojo and sheer coolness make up for a ton of non-original parts, especially when you're talking about old Fenders. So here's the backstory. I was told that the original owner ordered this bass from Fender with an ash P-bass body and a jazz bass neck. The previous owner took the bass to a reputable Fender licensed shop to have a new identical label placed on the headstock. Before Fender would release the label, the guitar had to be verified to be original, which it was, based on the details and serial numbers present. I come across intriguing stories like this all the time. I know that back in the day you could call up the factory and order guitars however you wanted them. The major Detroit car makers did the same thing at the same time. My thing is, and I guess it's a thing, I can't really believe these things until I investigate myself. In a lot of cases, these dudes don't want you popping the neck and pick guard off to look at dating codes, so when negotiating a price, you have to take that into consideration. I got a great deal on this one, so I sprung for it. Here's the facts. Around 1976, Fender started what we consider today to be the modern serial number system. It's pasted on the headstock, and the first two characters tell you the year. So if you have an S7, that's going to be 1977. An E1, 1981. Easy enough. This is generally accepted to be the year the guitar was made, and you have little to worry about unless the neck doesn't match up the body or some other shit like that. So the guy whom I bought it from claimed it was 1976, but wait, he didn't like how old it looked. That is, the headstock and the decals. So he did a pro refinishing job on the headstock and had the label replaced with one that was identical. Nothing against this guy, he was nice, but why the hell do people do this? I will never understand that. If you don't like how old the headstock looks and don't like how old the decals look, then just buy a new guitar. Why do you have to go? Anyway, so here's a pic of the quote-unquote identical label that was replaced. And if you notice, the label is actually a label from the early 70s era up through 1975. So that's a decal that was on these basses up through 1975. So this led me to think that what I had here was not in fact a 76, but likely a 75 or earlier. So now it's time to pop the neck off and look at the date code on the heel. Now the code on the neck heel reads, from what I can tell, 02011713. So generally this will mean 02 jazz bass, 01 rosewood fingerboard, 17 that's the weak code, 1 1971, 3 Wednesday. So that 1 means 1971. What the hell? Here's where you really start banging your head against the wall. It's known that sometimes with these Fender neck heel date codes, the last two numbers were sometimes transposed. The neck plate serial number reads 508162, placing the date around 1973, 1974. I'm not a huge fan on relying on a removable part to determine the date of the guitar body, but in this case, the date matches up with the era of the neck. Damn. Okay, woodpecker. Okay, going a little further in the neck pocket, while not having any date codes to read, does have period correct quality assurance markings. The name Frank is the name of a dude that worked in the Fender factory around that time, and it shows up on all other period matching guitars and basses. All of this is a huge hassle. And you might wonder, as I have, why Fender didn't take better care in providing trackable dates. The answer is that these guitars were made in a mass production factory environment. The folks putting them together grabbed parts from boxes, and it wasn't uncommon to have a year-old neck slapped onto a new body. They worked with what was around. They also didn't know that there would be nerds like you and me desperately working to curate and determine specific years of manufacture. They simply weren't in the business of making that clear and traceable down the road. So the bottom line is, I could determine with some certainty that this was a body and neck from the same era. So, long story short, I sold this bass on my reverb store to a fellow in Georgia who seemed to really, really like it when he got it. He asked for a copy of all the research, which I was happy to get to him. It was a great sounding bass. Looked cool, just looked totally cool. Had that crazy mojo. There's probably not another bass that looks like that in the world, especially with those block inlays. There's another video on my channel somewhere where I did a demo of that bass. So anyway, what do you think? What do you think about looking up old guitars and dating codes and trying to match parts together? Or do you freak out about it as much as I do? Is it fun? Does anything I said not make any sense? Like I've said before, I'm not an expert. Just a guy that's been doing this for a while and have a lot of fun with it. So, for more nonsense like this, give me a like, subscribe. I'll make more videos outside, the woodpeckers and the quail and the rattlesnakes once it warms up. So, yeah, like and subscribe. I'll see you later.